Good evening and welcome back to Seahawk Central News, your source for the latest in local news and entertainment. I'm Trevor Bray.
And I'm Anna Phillips. Remember to check us out at tealtv.org and on our Facebook page. Seahawk Central News airs every Monday through Thursday on both TLN and the Seahawk channel.
Stay tuned for a look at Cucalorsa's own Oscar party, an interview with Mayor of Wilmington, Bill Saffo, and a special report on the Latin salsa dance company Contra Tiempo.
Don't forget to check out our sports show on the half hour to catch Trey Owings' report from the sports desk.
Stay tuned because Seahawk Central News starts right now.
What do the Norwegian Army, UGA swim team, and San Antonio SeaWorld all have in common with UNCW? The Harlem Shake. The dance video taking over the nation has come to the UNC Wilmington campus. At 3 p.m. on February 25th, UNCW Campus Dining asked students to come to Wagner Hall in crazy costumes to perform their own rendition of the dance. The Harlem Shake consists of a seemingly normal setting, an office, dining hall, or large lawn with people milling about. One person dances in the middle, looking silly, when a sudden beat drops in the song and suddenly tons of people are dancing with and around the one person. You can check out many renditions on YouTube.
What happens when you combine a campus news station with a student-run television network? You get innovation that leads to a student media photography blog. The Squawk, the brainchild of Teal TV and the Seahawk, is now up and running and has covered events such as celebrity sightings on the Dubs campus and more serious matters regarding student demonstrations to urge the university to invest in renewable, sustainable energy. Students are welcome and encouraged to submit their photos by visiting the Squawk's webpage.
What is February? February is Black History Month in the United States, and it has been celebrated in many different ways. UNCW is no exception, as they brought in speakers and had leadership conferences all month long. The keynote for the month was Anthony Fox, the mayor of Charlotte, who spoke in Bernie on February 23rd about Black history and the joint Southeastern African American Leadership Conference being conducted through UNCW's Upperman African American Cultural Center. We were lucky enough to speak with him, UNCW students, and our own mayor, Bill Saffo.
It's called CSLAC for the acronym, and it's also Black History Month, so they're having a conference that gives you tips on how to be a leader and be successful in graduate school, professionally, and history, in a very different areas and avenues combined. So they had a keynote speaker, which is the mayor of Charlotte, to come out here. It's kind of a coordination between the conference and Black History Month and an Upperman sponsored event, so that's kind of nice.
A lot of students come and they learn things that they didn't know about being in diverse communities when they are a minority. And it's just a time to come together as leaders and realize that even though we're minority leaders, you're still out there to make a difference for the whole world.
Well, I think it's important to hear compelling stories about how leaders have gone through the ranks and have grown into their positions and how they obtain those positions. Obviously, I believe his message, as all of our messages are that are in leadership, in some sort of leadership capacity, is to inspire young people to take on public service. We think it's a noble cause. We think it's something that is very important to not only our communities, but also to our state and also to our country. And the leaders of tomorrow are here today, and we have an opportunity to speak to them and tell them that at some point in time in our lives, we were students, we were contemplating possibly going into some leadership role in the future, but that we hope that they would at least consider doing some public service for their communities, because it helps and it makes us a better country, and it makes us stronger communities.
South Korea has elected a new female president, Park Geun-hye. At the inauguration, South Korea's first female president vowed to protect her country from North Korea's hostile threats, but while creating a, quote, zone of trust between the two countries. Her campaign centered around tax cuts for businesses, reconstruction of the welfare program, and a promise to take care of Korea's people one by one. Park comes from a political family as the daughter of Park Chung-hee, one of the founders of modern Korea. He ruled forcefully for 18 years before he was shot by his intelligence chief in 1979. Park said her overall goal in office is to create a tranquil ambience within the country. I would like to recreate the miracles of Let's Live Well, so people can worry less about livelihood and young people can go to work happy.
A new art exhibit is now open at UNCW. The All-Student Show is a collection of pieces submitted by students and chosen by guest juror Rhonda Bellamy. Bellamy was named as the YWCA's Woman of the Year in Arts in 2007 and has spent a long and varied career teaching art. She chose from over 100 student entries, including paintings, sculptures, watercolors, photography, and more. The exhibition will be in place in the Bozeman Art Gallery until April 1st.
Our very own reporter, Logan Spaller, spent an evening on the red carpet this past Sunday. No, I'm not referring to the Oscars, but instead with the host of Wilmington's annual film festival, Cucaloris. Cucaloris held a fundraiser during the Academy Awards to raise money for the 2013 film festival that will take place in mid-November. The organization provided ticket buyers with food, cocktails, and a big screen to watch Seth MacFarlane sing, dance, and joke his way through the award show. Logan Spaller has more at the scene.
Wilmington film fans were invited to come out for an evening on the red carpet to view a screening of the Oscars in support of the Cucaloris Film Festival. This annual fundraiser helps bring awareness of the festival as well as raises a bulk of its funds.
This is our biggest annual fundraiser for the Cucaloris Film Festival. It's an Oscar party here at Screen Gym Studios, which is kind of amazing. I mean, how many people can say they get to see the Oscars at a film studio? So we're really excited about tonight, and you know, it's really important that so many people support Cucaloris. We're a nonprofit, and tonight's a great example of what happens when the community comes together to support a cause like ours. So the Oscar fundraiser makes up about 10% of our operating budget every year. We also have over 100 businesses locally that sponsor the festival in the fall, and so this is just one of the ways that we raise the funds that make the film festival possible.
I mean, this is our only fundraiser of the year. So it's crucial, you know, that it goes well so that we can actually have the festival in the fall, because even though the festival's got a big reputation, it's still a fairly small organization. So we kind of rely on this kind of thing to pay the rent, you know. And
brings together people that have a love for the film community. I mean, you may not know that your next door neighbor has this crazy fetish for films. And when you connect with them here, it becomes a kind of like you connect. You know, so I think it's a good way to kind of showcase films in the area and to let people know that we celebrate the Oscars as well. Because some of the films that we'll see tonight may have been filmed in Wilmington, or we may have some local actors who participated in it.
Seems like those that attended the fundraiser were clearly passionate about the film industry in Wilmington. After attending Cucaloris Film Festival this past year, it's very clear that everyone involved was also passionate about the film industry as well as the Cucaloris tradition. Until next time, I'm Logan Spaller, reporting for Seahawk Central News, Teal TV. Back to you.
This week in Critics on Campus, host Chris Vickery has two new movies to tell us about, Die Hard and Snitch. Chris?
Thanks, Trevor, and welcome to Critics on Campus. I'm your host, Chris Vickery, alongside Bobby Ramadka. Bobby, first, this week, as always, we have two movies we're reviewing, the first of which is A Good Day to Die Hard. This is the fifth movie in the Die Hard franchise, and it's a pretty spectacular display of action with Bruce Willis going to Moscow to find his son, kind of wrapped up in some political malarkey. But what did you think of this one?
I mean, I loved it. It was, you go to watch it for the entertainment aspect of it. You're not going there to be moved emotionally or intellectually like you go see Lincoln. You just go there for the pure entertainment of it. Yeah. And that's what you get. You know, you don't walk out having some changed life. It's pure entertainment.
Yeah, Die Hard has definitely earned its spot as royalty among American action cinema, and it definitely delivers on that front. Yeah. Bruce Willis reclaims his role as John McClane, and he just kills people, kills the bad guys. That's kind of his role, and we get some kind of family involvement, similarly to the fourth movie, and overall, it's a fun action flick. It's better than, I'd say, 80 or 90% of the other action movies out there. Yeah. Right now. It still holds its weight, though I think not quite as good as the fourth one. But what would you say rating-wise?
I would give it, you know, a 3.5, solely because you're right. The last one held its own.
Yeah.
But this one, it's the biggest thing I liked the most was the father-son dynamic, and that was the best part next to the action.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Not quite a 3.5. I'd give it a 3, but it does definitely. It meets the action requirements. Doesn't quite go above and beyond like some of the
Right,
diehards have. The second movie we saw, though, I think it was marketed as an action movie, and it just wasn't that. Snitch, starring Dwayne Johnson, now formerly The Rock. It's kind of a crime drama, a drug crime drama, about Dwayne Johnson's character, who his son gets kind of framed. He gets caught up in some drug business, gets sent to jail, and due to the way the laws are, he has to go basically put another drug dealer in jail to get his son's prison sentence reduced. And it's a really impressive breakout dramatic performance for Dwayne Johnson. What did you think of this one?
No, it was. Like you said, it's nothing like the previews. That it's not an action film by any means. I mean, the last 10 minutes of the movie, there's action. It's a story about the drug problem, and it's a movie about family and how far you would go to protect the ones that you love, and that's made very clear in that movie multiple times. And I mean, Dwayne Johnson gave an outstanding performance. Like he didn't beat up everybody like he does in other movies. He was just a normal guy who was put into a very unusual situation, and he had to be. And it was a great performance by him.
Yeah, and performances all around were really impressive for that movie. I think the entire cast did a fantastic job, and overall, it's a good story. Actually, I think one of my favorite parts of this movie is the musical score is fantastic.
Oh yeah.
But it was a very unexpected movie for me, and an unexpected pleasure to go see it. But out of 5 stars, what would you give this one?
I'll give it a 4. I thought it was. Like I said, you went there thinking it was an action film, and you end up being moved by the end of the movie, and you were drawn in for the 2 hours or however long it was, and it was just a fun movie to watch, and it was inspiring and a great movie all around.
I would have to agree on that, a 4. It didn't quite hit the marks that I wanted it to hit in some areas, but overall a great movie and definitely one worth seeing in theaters.
Definitely, yeah. Oh yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm Chris Vickery alongside Bobby Ramadka. This segment is brought to you by Carmike Cinemas. Back to you.
Professional etiquette is something we all must learn at one point or another. The UNCW Career Center is trying to teach students and alumni as much as possible. On February 25th, the center hosted a professional etiquette dinner where students wore pin attire to a networking meeting/dinner. The function of the dinner was to teach attendees about professional attire, social media, employer culture, workplace etiquette, and professional expectations.
40 years after the landmark ruling of Roe v. Wade, the issue is still prevalent in our society, having been a noticed factor in the 2012 presidential election. Pioneer Sarah Weddington, who lucratively argued the winning side of the only Supreme Court case to deal with abortion, visited UNCW this past Tuesday. Weddington discussed her extensive resume, having been a member of the Texas House of Representatives, assistant to President Jimmy Carter, and was a leader in implementing programs for equal treatment of women in the military. Her lecture not only empowered women, but men as well, setting an example that political change is possible, no matter how out of bounds the issue may seem.
The title is Full, Still Hungry, but it's nothing to do with food. On February 23rd, Contra Tiempo, a Latin salsa dance company, performed in Keenan Auditorium. Their new piece, entitled Full Still Hungry, showcases their latest work and features moves from the classes they've been teaching in Wilmington for the past 2 weeks. The show was the LA group's final performance. Katie Nimerich has the story.
To wrap up a 2-week residency at UNCW, the Latin dance company Contra Tiempo hosted a public performance at Keenan Auditorium on February 23rd. The artistic director and choreographer was kind enough to meet with me before the show and give me some insight into the performance.
So Full Still Hungry is the name of the work. It is a brand new work that we created last year. We debuted it at the Ford Amphitheater on the West Coast, and this will be our East Coast debut here at UNC Wilmington. The work is about food and consumption and our relationships with what we eat and how we consume, and what that tells us about our past, present, and future. So it's a huge narrative and lots of interweaving stories that there are stories from our actual dancers, the company members who you'll see perform on stage tonight. And then we incorporate a ton of different kinds of dance forms, including stepping, which you might be able to hear in the background right now. People are stomping on stage, salsa, Afro-Cuban, hip-hop, house, and contemporary dance.
We took classes at our school, and they really helped us a lot with dancing, with our skills, with learning, and they not only taught us how to dance, but they taught us leadership and how to come together as a community.
Because at first we didn't want to touch each other. Sometimes we just be like this and didn't want to touch each other at all. But Miss Anna Maria, she helped us show our pride values, and so did Mr. Bullish, and they all inspire us to become as a community and become as one big family.
UNCW was lucky enough to host the East Coast premiere of Full Still Hungry. We hope you didn't miss the show. I'm Katie Nemrich, back to you in the studio.
Time flies when you're having fun. Or that is what the pop rap duo Time Flies intends to happen when they perform at UNCW's spring concert. Their most noted EP, One Night, landed them the #1 spot on iTunes album chart this past year. But if top 40 music isn't your preference, don't fret, because both Lynyrd Skynyrd and the Avett Brothers will perform at the Azalea Festival. The icons noted for Freebird and Sweet Home, Alabama will take the stage at 7 p.m. on Thursday, April 11th, while the North Carolina natives will follow on Friday, April 12th. You know, I went to high school in Concord, North Carolina, where the Avett Brothers are from, and they performed with Dave Matthews Band there once, and they were opening for Dave Matthews, and I swore they had a bigger turnout for the Avett Brothers than they did Dave Matthews.
I think a lot of people are really excited about the lineup this spring. I know I bought my ticket the day it was announced, so I think Wilmington's in for a good line of shows.
Yeah, a lot of support from North Carolina.
You've heard what the critics had to say about the Oscars. Now let's hear what Seahawk students have to say about the ceremony in this week's Talk on the Walk.
The 85th Annual Academy Awards aired this past Sunday and was a night filled with fun, glitz, and glamour. I'm Kristen Dre, and on this week's segment of Talk on the Walk, we will be asking students about what they thought of the Oscars.
I didn't watch much of it, but I watched the first 5 to 10 minutes, and Seth MacFarlane. I think he did a good job, but at times I think it was a little bit awkward.
I thought they were awesome. I was really happy that Argo won the Best Picture, actually. It was my favorite movie of this past year.
I heard that Anne Hathaway won Best Supporting Actress for her work in Les Mis, and I'm really happy about that. I think she did an awesome job, and before that I didn't know that she could sing, but she's actually really good at it, and looking forward to seeing her in more musicals.
I didn't get to really watch much of it, but I did watch Adele sing, and I thought she did a really good job, especially since she was worried about her vocal cords getting messed up after surgery.
I enjoyed the whole show. I watched the whole thing, which is kind of hard on a Sunday night being at early class in the morning, but I really enjoyed it. I saw some of the movies, not too many of them, but I saw Lincoln and I saw Les Miserables.
Most of the films I see now are on airplanes, unfortunately, but Argo I thought was an excellent movie. It's really nice to see kind of the historical documentaries, winning so big. In addition, I was really impressed with, a lot of the best actors. Daniel Day-Lewis was amazing in Lincoln. It really, I think, kind of set a model for potentially how our government should be operating.
I'm really glad that Quentin Tarantino won Best Screenplay, and I'm really happy about Life of Pi and how well it did. And Argo was amazing, so I'm glad it took home Best Picture.
As you can see, the UNCW students thought very highly of this year's Oscars results. For this week's segment of Talk on the Walk, I'm Kristen Dre for Seahawk Central News, Teal TV. Back to you.
Let's switch gears and have anchor Jessica Ferrer lead the way in this week's political segment. Good evening, Jessica.
Hi, Seahawks, and welcome back to another update on politics here on Seahawk Central News. I'm your host, Jessica Ferrer, bringing you the latest in local, national, and international political news. For residents of North Carolina, keeping up with politics just got easier. Senator Kay Hagan released a free app that can be downloaded for the iPhone, iPad, and Android devices. The app will allow North Carolinians to stay connected with what Senator Hagan is doing in Washington. It features videos, pictures, real-time social media updates, and will allow users to easily connect with her office. Hagan also has Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, on which she hosted a Twitter town hall to discuss jobs and the economy. To download the app, search for Senator Hagan in the App Store. "Thank you for your service. We still need you," was how political columnist for Time magazine Joe Klein started his speech. Klein, who spent time with troops overseas, spoke not only about the leadership skills veterans have, but also about the public service skills they gain while serving. He says that these young people coming back from the war are not the problem, but the solution. Organizations like the Mission Continues offer six-month public service fellowships to veterans. Programs like these help veterans utilize their skills and benefit the community. President Obama has announced that U.S. troops have been deployed to Niger due to rising extremist violence in the area. About 100 troops will set up a drone base in the West African country's capital. Unarmed aircraft will conduct surveillance flights over Mali. The U.S. will share intelligence information with other U.S. partners and the French, who are currently battling al-Qaeda-affiliated groups in the area. The U.S. and Niger have an agreement that allows for more military involvement and has given legal protection to American troops. Although the surveillance missions will be unarmed, missile strikes have not been ruled out if the threat worsens. Once again, I'm Jessica Ferrer. Thanks again for joining me for more updates in the world of politics. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Jessica. Does anyone really fit into a stereotype? UNCW's SGA is hosting an interactive group discussion about stereotypes. The group discussion will be facilitated by UNCW's diversity and inclusion specialist Kimberly McLaughlin-Smith. Anonymous questions will be taken from the audience in Hawks Nest from 12:30 to 2 p.m. on Thursday, March 14th.
Oscar Sunday was a night highly anticipated by many people this year. Performances by Adele, the Les Miserables cast, and more made it truly a night to remember. In case you missed the show, here are some of the highlights. Argo took away the biggest award for Best Motion Picture. One of the biggest surprises of the night was First Lady Michelle Obama's appearance via satellite to help present the award. Jennifer Lawrence tripped onto stage to accept her award for Best Actress, and Daniel Day-Lewis broke a record by winning his third Best Actor award for his performance in Lincoln.
Raul Castro plans to make good to his word that Cuban officials should be limited to 2 terms in office by announcing he will step down from power in 2018. Castro was recently re-elected for his second 5-year term. As of now, Vice President Miguel Diaz-Canel is next in line to succeed the president. CNN reported that many Cubans view Diaz-Canel as a plain-spoken problem solver. The VP has previously served as a minister of higher education. Castro seems to approve of his successor, saying his leadership would be a, quote, definite step in the configuration of the future leadership of the country, through the gradual and organized transfer of the new generation taking over the main roles.
Farmers and consumers are being invited to join together to learn and share information about growing and buying local. Feast Down East is hosting the 3rd annual food conference in Wilmington on March 1st. The program will consist of 2 parts, informing and empowering farmers and inspiring local consumers to support and endorse the importance of buying locally grown goods. The conference is free with a donation of a canned good for the Food Bank of Central and Eastern North Carolina. You can register to attend at feastdowneast.org.
Passport Day in the USA will be happening at UNCW on March 9th. Passport Day is an informal day of information giving and receiving as officials spread the word about the importance and methods of obtaining a passport, and they will accept any applications from the public. The event will take place from 10:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the Passport Office of UNCW, which is located on the 1st floor of the Fisher University Union.
Would you like to help out a soldier? You can with just one easy drop-off. The UNCW Leadership Department will be collecting cell phones for soldiers on campus until April 1st. You can bring any old cell phone and drop it off at 4 different locations on campus: in the Randall Library, at the Fisher Union Information Desk, inside the Friday Annex lobby, and at the admissions office in James Hall. Each cell phone donated will go to a soldier overseas so that they may call and talk to their loved ones back home. And that brings this week's episode of Seahawk Central News to a close.
Don't forget, Seahawk Central News airs every day at 5 p.m.
Check out Teal TV on Facebook and at tealtv.org for all of the latest episodes. Until next time, I'm Anna Phillips.
And I'm Trevor Bray, saying so long, Seahawks.